Joe Biden. Also, you can't. It's my superpower.
I don't want to be tied down. I just want to get
R&B, Saturday afternoon.
That's right. R&B in the afternoon with Ed and Jason.
Well, Saturday afternoon, though. But thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate the support. We're opening up with a weird musical number that was in Harley Quinn episode 5 of season 3 we'll be talking about today, where Batman and Catwoman, Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle technically sung some weird number to them over couples therapy. So, yeah, it's bizarre. So, as the show is often,
it's really
so
bizarre.
It fits in with the show. But yeah, thanks for joining us. And if you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, if you're joining us on Twitter, or wherever you found your audio-only podcast, we definitely appreciate it. And with me, as always, is Jason. What's up, dude?
How's it going, Ed? Good to be here. Nice, chill Saturday afternoon. Got some R&B going. Gonna be talking Harley Quinn. Gonna be talking Sandman. Gonna be talking I Am Groot. Are we gonna be talking about The Boys this week, Ed? And by The Boys, I mean the ever-evolving Ezra Miller pursuit by the law. Are we talking about that? Is there any new updates?
We can open up and talk about that anytime, because apparently they never stops delivering news.
It's always one thing after another, and that's like, seriously, it's kind of like, all right, well, The Boys season 3 ended, but at least the real life's playing out in an interesting way here.
Oh boy, it's totally a disaster.
It's crazy. They might scrap this movie. Which is nuts to me. But like, what are you gonna do? Like, this guy can only go so low before that movie is unsellable.
It's almost as if he's trying to see what can I do next in order to get them to scrap the movie. It's almost like he's like, I don't want anyone to see this movie, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick it to them.
Right, exactly.
You would almost think we're at that point right now.
Maybe he's reverse Ezra Miller, and he's come here to stop the rebirth of Michael Keaton's Batman. Huh?
That's a strong possibility, because it's starting to seem like we're not actually going to see it.
Which I'm so.
How can you take that away from us?
I'm so livid to be. I'll never trust DC again. If I don't get Michael Keaton returning as Batman, then I don't give a shit what they say, what they promise. My response will always be, when I'm sitting in the theater, then I will make a decision on this. Because I allow myself to get excited about this.
Well, whatever. We can talk. We can chat a few minutes about this, because it's there. I mean, the Flash movie. The reports that came out this week are that the new ownership in Warner Brothers Discovery, as they're calling it now, because oddly enough, Discovery bought Warner Brothers, which I would never think that would have happened. But what the hell knows?
That's strange, but okay.
It's like when T-Mobile bought Sprint. I was like, what? Isn't T-Mobile like the offshoot brand that, like, that's the little engine that could? The hell do I know then?
Discovery's sitting there like Blofeld with their cat. Oh, you've been watching The Mouse. You've been watching HBO. You've been watching Sony. No one ever watches Discovery. Oh, we'll take over the media.
We're going to show you superheroes along with like a panda or like, a random animal, a tiger or something like that.
That's right. First thing we're going to do is shut down Teen Titans, because that Beast Boy is garbage. I'll show you a beast.
Really live in the wild. Not this animated fantasy crap. We're going to show you guys what bats really are like in a cave.
That would be hysterical if that's the whole push.
That would be phenomenal. But no, they're new.
Forget the mascara. We'll show you the Amazon. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, their president came out at I think it was like a shareholders meeting or something like that, just to kind of assure everyone, because they were freaking out after Batgirl was canceled. And they're just like, hey, we're going to kind of copy the MCU playbook at this point. We were kind of fighting it, or apparently the old ownership was fighting it. and now we're going to go with it. But I think that's kind of a lazy way to describe it, though, and that's how he described it, which is why I kind of use that term. I mean, I think the main thing is, though, as long as they have a fucking plan that they can actually stick to, and they hire, like we've said 1,000 times in this show, if you hire a Kevin Feige, which the reports are out there now, that Greg Berlanti, who is overseeing the Arrowverse, might be getting that job. He's been apparently is being offered that job. So he has some experience overseeing that. And whatever you think of the Arrowverse or CWverse or whatever the hell you want to call it, it was a shared universe that did function fairly well for the most part. And I don't think Kevin Feige is the only person in the world that can make this work. It shouldn't be that, yeah. And I'm not saying it's that easy either, you know. But
here's the thing: the initial setup of the MCU was a gamble, but it wasn't hard to set up. It was okay. We introduce the Avengers, and then we put the Avengers together. That's the plan. Like, it's a fucking rocket science. That's why when we got the Snyderverse, that's why it was like, all right, we're going to introduce Superman. And then all the other Justice League. And then at some point we'll put them together, but we'll take breaks. And it was like, you see, that you messed up a very simple formula.
Yeah, and no one would have, like, knocked them if they would have went like, hey, all right, guess what, guys? We're gonna drop Man of Steel. And then we're gonna have a Batman movie, a rebooted Batman.
Right.
And then a Wonder Woman movie. And then guess what? 5 years down the line, we're gonna have the Justice League. And no one would have been like, you're copying it. It's like, all right, that kind of just makes sense. It jives with what you should do. Care about these characters first. So then when they team up, you're like, oh my God, they're all in the same movie.
Right. Or even, look, if you would want to do something different, then you introduce Superman. Let's say you don't want to introduce Batman in his own solo movie because you're just coming off the heels of Christopher Nolan at the time, right? So give us a Aquaman Batman movie or something, because I think at that point Aquaman was the one that people weren't sure if he could carry his own movie, right? Then throw a Wonder Woman movie, and then if you really want to go dark, then instead of giving us Justice League, give us Batman versus Superman with those other characters woven in, kind of like they wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to follow the formula exactly, but like, don't just throw shit at a wall and see what sticks.
And their property is another thing too, is that their property is similar to what Marvel has, right? Like, you have a comic book shared universe, fine. Start with that premise. And then, and I know what Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios has done is unprecedented in film, because it's really hardly ever been done. I mean, you got the MCU, you know, you got Kevin Smith's, Jersey Chronicles thing that obviously it's the same person writing and directing every movie, so kind of hard to mess up continuity there. And that's pretty much it, because others tried to do it. Like Universal tried it with the Monsters universe, with Kong and Godzilla. That has varied stuff. I mean, some of the movies are good, some of them are not. But, you know, you're not going to make like a friggin' Mothra solo film, you know, and learn all about Mothra. Like, it's not going to happen.
That's what I always say. Not everything needs to be an interconnected open world franchise. Sometimes, guys, we could just have a movie or two. But the thing is, the comic book properties lend itself to it, because, and this is what I always say the MCU has done, love it or hate it, is they have recreated what it feels like to follow comic books.
Yes.
On the big screen and now on the small screen, which no one's ever done before. Now, why couldn't DC do something like that? They absolutely could have, and I think that's what they need to do. They need to, because I don't feel like I'm watching or experiencing a comic book world when I watch these DC movies. Yeah, it's comic book, it's fun, this and that, but it's not like the MCU where it feels like a fully fleshed out world. And I think that's what they need to do, either that or just go, you know what, we're going to give you just disparate Elseworld stories that don't connect, and we're going to do those well. But they can't do this half in, half out. And it doesn't strike me with any sort of optimism that they just came in and like all of these superhero properties are being canceled and going on the chopping block, because it's like So are you pulling away from the superhero thing, or like what is the plan?
So from my understanding of the plan is that they saw what everyone else was. They saw what a bunch of fans were complaining about, right? Like with DC a lot. Even though I've enjoyed their stuff more than others have, and you've given them their due plenty of times when you give them their due and you feel they deserve it. So
For sure.
I think they just saw, like, they looked at the MCU and they're like, wow, this thing's a fully functioning money printing machine that they're doing over there at Disney. And how the hell we're sitting on the same damn thing that should be just as successful or more successful? That can be argued because, before the movies, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman were arguably the more popular heroes to, like, the casuals, the casual fan and the mainstream media. And then it was like Spider-Man and kind of everyone else was like a lot less known than that. This is before the films. I know it sounds crazy because after 2008, Iron Man's an A-lister and all these other guys are A-listers. But if those who read comics prior, we know that that's not the case.
Oh, yeah. Those who read comics like in the 90s, early 2000s. It's like Iron Man who?
Yeah. Oh, that drunk guy in a suit? Yeah, whatever.
Right. Captain America? You mean Iceberg Boy? Who cares?
Yeah, that cornball over there the cornball with the wings on his head. Screw that. So I just think that the new ownership was just like, they probably bought their property, meaning Warner Brothers, and I'm like, they're sitting on a gold mine. How the hell do we fix it? And they're walking in at a tough time because even the previous ownership was trying to course correct, and I think it's because DC Films in general currently has a mixed bag. They have a new the Batman was super popular, made a bunch of money, and we're excited. Fans are excited about that. Joker, another thing, currently very popular. The sequel, we kind of have ideas of what we're getting now that's officially still like on track and it's going to happen. We'll see what happens. I know we both differentiate on what it is, but I think we kind of agree that there is an interesting element that's there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm interested in it for sure.
Yeah. And Aquaman, successful first film. People like Aquaman, like Jason Momoa's Aquaman. So there's no reason to shit can that. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is still very popular, even though her first film, even though her second film, terrible. But she's still popular. When people think of Wonder Woman, they think of Gal Gadot. And that's what they're going with. So I think that's what they're sitting on. And they apparently have a really good Flash movie that I'm sure the new ownership saw, was like, all right, this thing is probably awesome. And from what we believe is going to be a Flashpoint type event, which will kind of make this all make sense and kind of act as a reset for them. But unfortunately, the star of their film is completely insane and is going ahead and running around the country doing crazy shit. So, and they have the Michael Keaton Batman thing, which instantly we were just talking about how excited we are excited about it. And maybe they watched Batgirl and they're like, this isn't great, but I don't know why you don't try to save it with reshoots when you have.
Right.
But maybe the new ownership's not interested in that. They're kind of like, listen, we got to stop trying to like put lipstick on a pig, and we need to fix the damn thing once and for all. So,
I think my apprehension here is in what you said, that they came and went, well, how do we do what the MCU did? And I mean, let's not forget the MCU did it in the desert with a box of scraps. Yeah,
it's the truth.
One of my favorite lines of all time. But they did, right? They it's not. But these guys are coming in like, all right, we've got an established world, and we want to keep half of it, and some of this is good, and some of this is bad. It's like, I don't think that they can just come in and go, let's just do what Feige did. I mean, because they unless they are willing to burn everything that has existed before and start anew, and I doesn't sound like they're going to do that. I don't even think they should do that, but I think they need to find a way to be able to reset parts and not reset other parts. And it was going to be this Flash movie, but now it might not be. So if they want to really course correct, they got to find a way for it to make sense. And look, it's the DC. I mean, multiverse abound. I mean, they can do it easily, but they need to get someone who's looking at it not just as cash, money. They need to actually find someone or people in the creative who care about these characters, who are going to use their knowledge of the comic lore and their knowledge of the characters and make something that feels fresh and updated, which essentially is what the MCU does. And they need to do that.
I know. I'm totally on board with you, and I think that's why Greg Berlanti is being considered to be that guy, because he seems to, be genuinely a fan who knows how to, make a shared universe work, and they have him in house already, and his Arrowverse, is dying off little by little, even though he is a producer on Doom Patrol and Titans and stuff like that. So he has other stuff there, but but he's also in the concept of, well, we're DC, we have a multiverse. We don't necessarily have to have every single property sync up. And I'm kind of on board with that, though. I do think that you can keep, not every single little thing has to be in a shared universe. So
I agree. Like I told you, I never want to see the Joker face off against Batman. Like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, I never want to see him face off against Batman. So that would have to be its own universe. So I agree. I think there is something to that.
And I don't know. There's a part of me that is curious to see that, though. To see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker interact with a Batman. I don't know. Not now, not like right away, or I don't know. It's just out of curiosity. I don't even know if it'll work. I'm with you. It might be shit, but I don't know.
But I get the curiosity. Yeah,
that's all. That's where I'm at with it. But I don't know. I mean, it's. I think what they mean when they say in a 10-year plan of what Marvel did was meaning just to have a plan. Just to have an actual plan. That's what I take it.
Which how sad is that? Our euphemism for just having a plan with what to do with our property is to just do what Marvel did. Like, no, just have a fucking plan, guys.
but hey, man, we've seen DC tried it. They have a very mixed results with it. I just mentioned Universal has tried it with everyone tried to do a shared universe then.
Yeah,
with their properties. Did you watch the Conjuring movies?
Red just made me watch one or two of them.
Okay, so
all
right.
But here's my thing, though. Here's why it works in the MCU and it should work in DC. And there's no way in hell it's ever going to work in some of the ways that people are trying to force franchise shared universes, is because comic books is inherently a shared universe of multiple stories, right? Mm-hmm. Like the Universal monster movies, I just watched them recently, like because I was doing Victorian Lit before I went on summer break, and I showed a bunch of them. They are all movies, individual movies with story arcs and characters. They were never meant to be this big, vast shared universe lore. And the only reason anyone tried to make it that way was money. No one gave a shit about the property. And the same thing with The Conjuring. It's all soulless cash grabs. And that's the difference. MCU is not a soulless cash grab. They make a ton of money. They print money. But love what they do or not, they obviously have care for the world they're building. There is, there is artistic integrity there, whether, again, people enjoy it or not. Yeah. And I think that's the major difference. These people who are trying to force universes, there's no universe there. There's not supposed to be a shared universe off of 4 movies that didn't take place in the same reality to begin with.
So hold on. So did you watch Godzilla and then King of Monsters and Skull Island?
I did. I watched them all. I thought Skull Island, which was the first, which was smart and had stuff to say.
No, that was actually
I liked that.
That was the second or the third.
Was that the second Skull Island? What was the
first? The first one was Godzilla with
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought Skull Island came first.
With Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson or whatever. Yeah. Then it was Skull Island. Then it was Godzilla King of Monsters. Then it was Godzilla versus Kong, which personally I like the first Godzilla. I do enjoy that one.
And I liked Skull Island a lot.
Me too. I liked Skull Island a lot. That one was really good. King of Monsters, I thought was the humans ruined that movie because they're so incredibly cheesy and dumb. But visually, and I said this when I went to see it. I went to see it on IMAX, and I was like, if you want to see big monsters fight, just turn your brain off, and you will see a fucking spectacle. It is visually awesome. Just don't listen to what anyone's telling you. Don't listen to any of the humans or anything they have to say.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem for me with monster movies to begin with. It's like I'm going to Godzilla or King Kong to see Godzilla and King Kong, but they're CGI or animatronics. They're not leading men or leading women, you know?
Yeah.
And so they have to put humans in there, but I don't give a shit about any of these humans. So it's like, that's the eternal struggle for me. It's like, I wish the monsters could talk and interact and have inner thoughts and but I also want to see them do like nasty ass monster shit and no humans around.
And I think that also is, Godzilla versus Kong, though, I actually enjoyed. I genuinely thought that they nailed it with that. I thought that was cool. The human stuff wasn't too cheesy. You know, they actually finally found the balance. Yeah, it was fine. But my favorite part was big monsters fighting. So as soon as Kong and Godzilla were around each other, I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And then Mecha fucking Godzilla. And I'm like, all right, we're going all in now. All right.
And I'll say something, I don't even mind that being a shared universe. Like, no. As I said, my only issue with movies like that is because I want to see just monsters all the time. But that was a shared universe. You know what I mean? Like Mothra and all these things, they did fight Godzilla. King Kong and Godzilla did fight eventually. This was a shared universe, you know? Yeah. I think like the one that sticks in my craw, as you said, is the Universal Monsters one.
Oh my God, yeah, the Mummy. And then they were trying so hard to get that off the ground. It just
it was the little franchise that could.
Yeah, never went down. If you want to see them together, watch Monster Squad. It was an old movie from the late '80s. There you go. You'll see them together, and it's actually fun.
And you will learn something very important, Ted, and that is Wolfman has nards.
And that's because if you ever run into him, you should that's it. Go for it.
That's it. Go for the nards. Wolfman's got him.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with DC, but their upcoming stuff, I like some of it. I like what's coming up. I mean, I do like Shazam. I love the first
Shazam
one.
was cool.
Yeah. Black Adam. The trailers didn't really wow me, but it's The Rock and it's a superhero movie, so and it's got fucking Pierce Brosnan in it as Dr. Fate. I mean,
yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm not crapping on DC. You know, I got a love-hate relationship with DC because some of it I genuinely love and some of it I genuinely hate. But like, you know, I want to see like the Justice League done well. Yeah, that's really what I want. I want them to get their shit together with the Justice League because, you know, yeah, it was interesting watching that 10-hour Zack Snyder movie. That was interesting, but that's not my Justice League. That's not kind of what I come to comic books for. And as fun as that was, this is under new management. I really want to see them give me a Justice League that is kind of more akin to the comic book than we've gotten, you know?
Yeah. So hopefully maybe their star will get under control for a little while. And yeah, they've said that there's 3 options that are reportedly out there. One was trash the movie completely, and that's it, shit can it. 2 was reshoot and get Ezra Miller out of it. Or it was like, hey,
which I think that's the way to do it.
I think so. I just think they're going to have to understand it's going to cost them a boatload of money, and then you're going to have to get people. Anyone he shot a scene with is going to have to come back and reshoot those scenes.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You know who I'm sure they could. I'm sure they get on the cheap. Replace Ezra. Dustin, come on, he's going to be looking for a job. I mean,
well, I'll tell you though, I really do think that. All jokes aside, my guess with that is going to be, if you're gonna recast Barry Allen, then I think you're just going to go with someone else, like totally fresh.
Oh no. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to wind up doing.
Yeah. I know there's been names floated out there of who people would want to see and stuff like that, but
And now I'm curious if they're going to try, like, if they do, well, they're eventually going to recast, right? So that's going to happen, whether they shit can this movie or not. They're recasting this character. So I wonder if they're going to go like big name, or if they're going to go like someone who's, you know, maybe got less clout to let them grow into it, right? Because like everyone in the MCU who started off, with the exception of Robert Downey Jr., but even him, because he had a lot of trouble before pre-Iron Man, were people who were just starting out in their career or hadn't yet made it big, or needed this comeback. So I wonder if the DC is going to go, okay, you know what? Let's get someone like that, because they tend to now. It's like they go for big names, right? Cavill was a kind of a big deal, and Affleck, of course, is a big deal. Jason Momoa was a big deal coming off of Game of Thrones. So I'm curious if this whole shift is going to change their casting sort of thoughts as well.
I don't know. Well, thinking about it, though, Gal Gadot was fairly an unknown. I think she was in the Fast and Furious movies. Before that, I had no idea who she was. Ben Affleck, obviously a huge name, but was met with is a very, very stupid pushback. I could not stand the fan pushback when that happened, because when I heard it, I'm like, dude, this isn't going to be an awesome casting. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. Like, Affleck can hold his chops. Everyone showed, oh, Daredevil. Stop. Not him. If you actually watch the film, not his fault. Really not.
And also, that's a younger Ben Affleck. He's learned acting a lot over his tenure as an actor.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. It's like they also shit on Pattinson when he was cast, and we saw he crushed it in Batman. So,
well, that's the thing. That's the thing we're learning is no one, like, they could announce that Bruce Wayne himself has come into reality, and Batman now exists, and they're casting him, and fans will be like, oh, Bruce Wayne is Batman? That would never work. Like, fans would never have it.
Oh, that's great. Bruce Wayne can never play Batman.
Oh my God! Look at it. So yeah, he's strong enough, and he's white enough, and he's rich enough. But I don't know. He's got a weird thing with his hair. It's never gonna work.
Oh God. Oh boy. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Let's jump into our shows and see.
Yeah, let's pray that Vought gets A-Train under control and the DC is back in line. And yeah, let's jump in, Ed. What are we starting with?
Let's start off with it. A little series that dropped, I believe it was Wednesday on Disney Plus, called I Am Groot. It's 5 episodes of literally 5-minute shorts about Baby Groot. There's things that happen in each of them. Mostly, it's obviously him saying I am Groot. They're cute little stories. It's not essential MCU watching. It's not, but whatever. You get a chuckle out of it. I mean, 5 episodes together, 25 minutes. So it's like 1 episode of Harley Quinn in length of time.
Not even, because I timed it. They went 3.5 minutes, and the rest was credits.
Yeah, a lot of credits. So I'll say the animation was really good.
It looked good.
Yeah, no, looked really good. James Gunn was involved. They got Vin Diesel to do the voice of Groot. Which was fun.
This is something I wanted to bring up. Like, why do we pretend that matters? Why do we pretend that Vin Diesel saying I am Groot through something that changes it so much that it no longer sounds like Vin Diesel, and he's still getting a hefty paycheck? Why do we applaud that? I want that fucking job. I just want to go, I am Groot, and now I'm set in the MCU franchise. That's what I do.
Listen, anyone who knows me knows that my feelings on Vin Diesel, and they're not great. So
you're not about family?
yeah, maybe I'm not totally about family per se, but it's just his acting is total trash. But the MCU did a great way to use him. Like, hey, listen, he's a name. We're coming out with this movie that nobody fucking knows these people. We're just gonna have him use his deep, growly voice for something. And then they obviously modified it and blah, blah, blah. And they ran with it. And that was it. And the fact, I mean, listen, he actually showed up to do it. So whatever. Bradley Cooper though showed up to voice Rocket because Rocket's in one of the episodes.
That was cool. And by showed up, let's face it, they got up, put their bathrobe on, went to their computer. Vin Diesel didn't even have to. Don't they have him saying "I am Groot" that they could just run through the?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just had to go ahead and modify it, like technically, whatever special effects and shit. So,
Did you know Vin Diesel's a big D&D guy?
Is he really?
He's a huge D&D guy. The Witcher, I think that no, not The Witcher. There's some movie he made about witch hunting was based on a D&D campaign him and his friends played.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And he actually got because he did a movie with Dame Judi Dench. I don't remember which one, but he did a movie with Dame Judi Dench, and he got her to sit in and play D&D with him. And so I always tell that story because them two together or dream D&D like team for me to play with. I want to play with Vin Diesel and Dame Judi Dench.
I know Joe Manganiello's big into it.
Is he really?
No, he is. He's like really into it, from what I understand. And I don't know. Maybe Henry Cavill also.
Oh my God, Henry Cavill into D&D.
I think so. I know for a fact Joe Manganiello is. I've seen him talk about it, like on multiple occasions. So. But no, regarding I Am Groot, though, it's fun. If you want to check it out, again, it'll run you about less than 25 minutes. It's cute. It's mainly for kids and stuff like that. So, it's fine. He does. You do see some Guardians of the Galaxy in the last episode of it, the 5th episode. Yeah. You get to see Rocket, and this Drax is taking a shower, and Groot's fucking with his stuff and everything. So. Again, not essential. Yeah. Not like, oh my God, I have to watch this because I'm not going to know what happens later on. But
I think the only thing I could say to sum this up is, I am Groot.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what I got.
Yeah, he essentially one of them. He takes pretty much a bath in like the woods and stuff like that, and he kind of makes himself look like a cheetah pet. Another one. He's got these little ant-type people that are looking up to him and stuff like that, and he thinks he hurt them, and he didn't. The last episode with Rocket, he's going ahead and he's drawing a picture of him and the Guardians as his family. But it gets really messy and stuff like that, so whatever. It's cute. Not essential. Could have done with or without it, but it's there. Essentially a Marvel one-shot.
Yeah. That's pretty much. It's a Marvel one-shot for kids.
Yeah, so check it out if you want, but it's not knocking anyone's socks off. But cool animation.
Yeah, or don't check it out and you'll be fine. Like it's either
or don't. Yeah, or don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you could watch it on the can if you want to. Not gonna have a same time there. There you go. If you really are heart set on keeping up with everything MCU. So. All right, we'll go ahead and shift gears to another animated property in Harley Quinn Season 3, Episodes 4 and 5. Jason, we got ourselves another orgy.
Oh, we got ourselves an orgy. And it's so crazy because yesterday, so my wife and my son were away for the weekend. So I decided yesterday I'm going to do something I never get to do is I'm going to reorganize my physical media, my DVDs, my Blu-rays, and I'm just going to watch random movies. A random movie I just happened to throw on, having no idea what was about to befall me in Harley Quinn episode 4, was Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick. And I'm watching now, then flash forward a couple hours later, and I text you because I'm watching it, and they go to the Court of Owls, and I hear, like, the literal musical cues from Eyes Wide Shut, like, boom. And I look at the computer, I'm like, what the? I just watched this movie. It was the craziest coincidence. But yes, and then so they're at the Eyes Wide Shut orgy, and it's the Court of Owls. It was like what? It was like the Court of Dildos or something like that.
Yeah,
the Legion of Dildos.
The Legion of Dildos is what was there. Bruce Wayne is there with Selena Kyle briefly.
It's this whole episode is fucking. I mean, this whole show is brilliant, start to finish. Jim Gordon's there because Two-Face sends him there to try to get campaign money. And one of my favorite lines is that he's like 45% of the people think that you're evil for trying to run against someone who's in a coma. But the other 55, they agree with us, right? No, 35% don't trust you, and 20% say, what was the line? I don't get carpool karaoke. What is that? You're just singing along the songs in your car. Apparently, they think you're James Corden. Dude, I was cackling at that. And then I forgot that the Joker has a stepson.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, by the way.
The show didn't. And it's the Joker screaming about Common Core math. I fucking love this. Why I'm Captain Common Core. Because in my mind, Captain Common Core is the Joker's new arch nemesis.
I think we should see that in a future episode.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it. And then the Joker asked a question that I wanted to run by you, Ed. I don't know if you picked this up, but what grown man plays on a softball team, Ed? That's what the Joker posits.
Yeah, I saw that. What, dude? Fuck, man. What is going on here? What is going on, Joker?
I mean, he's taking shots left and right.
Yeah, I kind of think so, man. I mean, you know, if it wasn't a freaking animated fucking character on my screen, man, I might have something to say with him.
But luckily, you're sane and you understand that he's just a cartoon.
Exactly. I mean, it could have been someone else who probably did punch the screen.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. What else am I forgetting? I'm loving that the whole thing where Ivy keeps coming out and telling the gang and Harley Quinn, like, Catwoman said you can't use a Japanese toilet. Catwoman said you can't use the instruments. And by the way, I know the beauty of the Japanese toilet. I have in my second bathroom, right by that door right there, I have a Japanese toilet.
Okay. I have not had the pleasure of using one just yet.
Yeah, and I, like, to be honest, Ivy says Catwoman says no one can use my Japanese toilet. I get that. No one's allowed to use it except my wife. But yeah, no, I love the Bane's at the orgy. I love everything about this. Oh, and then I thought you'd really appreciate this. Gordon being the blind man at the orgy who had to feel his way out. I got Frank Drebin vibes from that escape from the orgy.
Listen, apparently sometimes you find yourself there, and that's the only way out. That's the only way to get out.
That's it. You just got to feel your way through. But yeah, I thought that episode was brilliant. Did I miss anything? Because I just gushed about all my favorite parts.
No, I mean, it's a really funny episode. Once again, I mean, the show's hilarious. Tim is actually catching up on it. He texts us, and he's finding out the insanity that is Harley Quinn. So
we got to have Tim on to do like a catching up with Mr. T or whatever we would call it for Tim about Harley Quinn. Just since we're talking about it, just to see his overall thoughts since he's catching up.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can make that happen.
So we'll talk to him. He'll just pop on eventually, like randomly, and we'll just put him on the spot.
Could happen any minute. Could happen any minute right now.
It's true. Literally, it's true. You never know. Did I tell you when he did that to me on Double O Deep Dive? I'd never experienced it before. He did when we do an Austin Powers. Because I'm always like, I don't care. You know, people can come on, but I thought he would tell me. He just popped on for Austin Powers. Like, yep, I know this movie. I could talk about this. I'm like, all right, we're doing Austin Powers, baby. All right, then we get episode 5 where we get Swamp Thing. And
hippie Swamp Thing is hilarious.
It's fucking great. It's so funny. And I love that he was friends with Ivy and he cut her off not because she was evil and wanted to take over humanity, but because she was a shitty friend.
How about Nora? How about Nora Freeze though?
That's like the drug.
Fuck?
I don't know. I have no idea. She's got the tramp stamp. She's like on sorority, but looks like a sorority sister on spring break. It's hysterical.
Yeah, she's like catching up on all the stuff that happened while she was frozen.
Her line is like, "Oh, we just did a bunch of coke up the butt." It's like, what? I love that. So Catwoman throws everyone out of her house because the song that we heard at the top was her and Bruce breaking up pretty much because Bruce is clingy and she wants to be alone. And I love that she wants to be alone and her alone time is just to get in her bathtub, sip white wine, and watch YouTube videos. Because of course it is.
Yeah, that's what you
we
get
get Yeah, 100%. We get John Constantine, friend of the show. It's the same guy, right? Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan definitely shows up as John Constantine and has Poison Ivy try to outdrink him.
Oh, and they all get fucked up, and Nora Freeze. And I love this. They all get fucked up, except for Nora Freeze, because apparently she's just in that zone. Nora Freeze gets the address to Swamp Thing, tracks him down, and they wind up having an affair. They both say these words to each other. I was inside of you, or I let you inside of me, or something like that. It's like...
They were apparently inside of each other, from what I was gathering, and I'm like,
yes,
so many questions I could ask right now, but I'm just gonna roll with it because it's Harley Quinn.
And Nora literally says, "Yeah, we fucked." It's like, how does Swamp Thing fuck?
These are a lot of the questions that I had immediately, but because it was Harley Quinn, I just went with it.
You know what? I wish I had time to set this up because I think this would have been the perfect time to call on Swamp Thing expert Ginny from Deep Dive, and I think she might know how Swamp Thing fucks.
We're gonna have to. All right, when we get to Swamp Thing and covering those films, I think we're gonna have to try to remember this question, and don't tell her about it. Just hit her with it out of nowhere.
You're right. Yeah, she's not watching right now. She'll never know.
No.
But I guarantee you she has an answer. Like, she won't even think about it. Like, she's thought about this before. I guarantee it. All right, so then Bruce gets 2 cats?
Yes.
One named Martha, one named Thomas.
Of course. Keeps mistaken. I was like, oh, I want to watch over my cats.
Yeah, right. Which I think is hysterical. And then Alfred drugs Bruce and Selena and forces them into what I call disco ball therapy with the Music Meister. Is that a real Batman villain?
I wouldn't put it past at all. I'm not sure, but I would definitely not put it past them.
Like that could be like a '60s Batman villain, like when they were getting weird, like Paintball Man and shit.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And so they sing that little duet, and they realize they're breaking up, and that's heartbreaking for Bruce. I love that we get Harley diagnosing Swamp Thing.
Yeah, so she's like, "Oh wait, as a profession, as a psychologist," and she breaks it down.
You know that my soft spot, my sweet spot for Harley Quinn is when they remember that she's an actual bona fide licensed psychiatrist. Because I think like the writers can forget that sometimes. Like, you can go into her more badassedness and her physicality and stuff, but she's also a licensed practitioner of mental health.
She is Dr. Harleen Quinzel, after all.
Exactly. You don't just get the word doctor because you got it from a Cracker Jack box, my friend. No, you have to work for it.
Unless you're Dre. Let's not forget about Dre.
That's true. Well,
so I've forgotten about Dre.
He's a doctor of mixology, isn't he? Like a beatology? I don't know.
Why not? A beatologist. Just made it up. Bang.
There you go. And then the reveal at the end is that because I forgot to talk about this because it was one of the least interesting parts, but Frank is missing, and we find out that Bruce Wayne has Frank, and he's going to be doing experiments on him to find out what Ivy did to him. What Ivy did to him was supercharged him to make him literally repopulate Gotham like the Garden of Eden, killing everyone except for that cheese and macaroni and cheese shop they like.
Oh man, when we actually talk about this show out loud, it's just I'm like, wow, this show really is fucking so insane.
It's like you don't even realize that while you're watching it because you're paying attention, you're following it. But yeah, I'm going through these notes going, wait, did I write this? What that happened? But it's and Psy from the last season is now Catwoman's AI for her smart house. And Psy, I believe, is Jason Alexander.
Yes, it is Jason Alexander. And so Angie doesn't actually watch Harley Quinn, but she seems to listen to it when she's doing other shit in the house while I'm watching it. She's like, "Wait a second, is that George Costanza?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, it is."
I love seeing Jason Alexander get back to his Costanza roots.
Yeah, I love him. I watch Seinfeld still probably more than I should, but I still watch it quite often.
George Costanza is in my top 10 favorite fictional characters of all time across any medium.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's how much I love that character.
No, I adore George Costanza. All right. Let's go ahead and we'll get to our, the main course of the week, which is Netflix's The Sandman, which is also a DC property.
Yes.
That Netflix happens to have the rights to, so they went ahead and decided to roll with it. Yeah, we're gonna just talk overall about the season in general because Netflix drops their entire season at once. So to go into every single all 10 episodes, we'll be here forever.
And I'm gonna say that I think that was a mistake on Netflix's part. I know that's how they do it usually, and I think usually it works. Yeah. I think I would have gotten more out of this show if it was a weekly drop as opposed to binge watching it all at once, because it goes so many different places throughout the series or throughout the season that I found just because of the way I watched it, binge watching, I was losing threads. Whereas I think, and I was interested, I did like the show, but I think if it dropped weekly, now that I've been forced to do this weekly watch of stuff because of this show, I kind of was watching it going, I kind of wish this was more weekly because I think I would have been able to appreciate and digested each episode more before the next.
I agree with you though. I don't personally like I don't like binge watching. I actually don't. I don't do it.
Okay, I do.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people do. I know I am probably very much the minority on this, but I don't. I mean, Angie likes binge watching. We're watching shows together that were, like this, or if my DVR happens to get filled up and I go ahead and we're like, all right, I have a bunch of shows to catch up on. I watch like 2 or 3 and then I stop. I have to take a break and do something or anything or watch just something different, and I'll come back to it the next day or something. So how I watch this show.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know why, honestly, because I watch long movies. It's not like that. And I watch sports, which baseball games are like 3.5 hours sometimes. And
oh, yeah, that takes focus.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm not going to lie. Once in a while I'll pick up my phone, go take a walk to get something, eat in the kitchen or something like that. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm locked in. So it's not like it's an attention span thing. It's just, I don't know. I think it's maybe the way TV shows are written versus movies. Like movies, the story is compact and meant to be digested in the matter of 2 to 3 hours. And TV shows are not written like that. They're meant to be each episode, to be digested per episode. So I think that's what it is. I don't know, but a lot of people like binging, so I could be way off base on that and be talking out of my ass right now. But
I think it's a preference because I think shows now, and not this one, by the way, because this is definitely based on an episodic set of comics that have an overall thread, but they are definitely episodic, like comic drops. So, but we just watched the show with the girl from this who played Joanna Constantine, Jenna Coleman. Reg and I watched a show called The Serpent on Netflix, and it's a mini series. It's 8 episodes or 10 episodes, and I think that was perfect to binge watch. But it was created to be binge watched. Like it had the sensibilities of a long form movie. So I think there is something to what you're saying. Like certain shows are not created for that. I think we're getting into certain shows that are now. So I think that determines how you sort of sort of interact with it. I think how it's the intention of it.
Yeah, and I also enjoy the thing that we'll redo here is we'll go ahead and digest each episode and break it down and talk about it and wonder what's going to happen next and stuff like that. When you're binging, you just press play. You'll find out what happens next. Real easy.
Right.
I don't know.
For sure. And that's kind of part of why I kind of wish this dropped one at a time, because I wish we could have, because there's some rich stuff here. I'm not going to lie. I like this a lot. I didn't think it was perfect, but I liked it a lot. And there are some episodes that I think as episodes, if we were doing week by week, there's some rich stuff that we could dive into, but because we're doing it like this, we're probably not even going to touch on it more than a sentence, if that. And so that's why I think I kind of do wish that this was one at a time, because there's a lot here. There's a lot of good stuff in these episodes.
Yeah, and I also enjoyed it. I enjoyed the series. It's not my favorite series and that we've covered and stuff, but I really do genuinely like it. I didn't read the Sandman, and I didn't know what to expect coming into this, to be completely honest with you. Like, I saw posters for it. I've seen the graphic novels like in comic stores before, and I knew the Sandman was a DC property, but I had no idea what the hell it was about. And now jumping into it, it is something very different. It's not your traditional comic book thing at all. And when I saw the writer of it had said that, hey, we started off in a DC world, and then all of a sudden, as we wrote the comic, it branched off into its own universe and kind of just forgot about that. And that's fine. So I guess it works here. But it's very mystical and magical and things of that nature. There's no real like costume superheroes and stuff like that showing up. And I think there's, I don't know, you're right. There's a lot we could probably have jumped into each episode and broke down and theorized about, but I think one of the most interesting episodes, so let's just cherry pick highlights of what things we want to bring up. And episode 5, the one that's set in a diner.
Oh yeah.
Right? So I was talking to Angie about this, and when I started the episode in the first like 10-15 minutes, I'm like, this is kind of slow. Where the fuck is this going? And then all of a sudden, the shit hit the fan big time.
It gets wild.
In that diner. It has got so crazy.
And it's funny that you bring that up, because that was the exact episode I was thinking when I said we would like deep dive, if we were doing this episodically, into episodes that we probably wouldn't get a chance to talk about much in the overall, because that is an episode, I think that it's a brilliant episode, but once you look at the overall arc of the story, isn't really that important.
No, it's not. But also I think let's give it some shine here then, because it is a really brilliant episode, because they pretty much in that episode, the character John has let's see which one, Morpheus, the Sandman, Dream. aka / his Ruby, because in the beginning of the show he is kidnapped, right, wrongfully imprisoned for 100 years on Earth, and his tools
because they're trying to get death.
Yeah, they want death, but they get him. They get Morpheus, whatever. We'll use him mainly by Morpheus. I just feel like when I say that, I'm thinking
yeah, that's why I was referring to him as Dream. But
all right, fine, whatever. We'll call him Dream. Yeah.
All right, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, he pretty much is kidnapped, and his tools are stolen, and he's in the first half of the season, he's kind of tracking down his tools, and then later on it's more about what the repercussions of his absence were. Right? Like, I think that's a fair, broad way to explain that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And the tools are a ruby, which causes dreams to come true, a sick looking like plague doctor's mask, which high school me would have been all about that. High school me would be dressing like this. And then his bag of sand, which allows him to move around, right? To go between worlds. So the ruby was taken by a thief. No, everything was taken by thieves. The ruby was given to the thief's son. The sick mask was sold to a demon in hell, and he gets the sand right away. I forget what happens to the sand, but that's the first one he gets.
Yeah, the sand is he gets the sand from Joanna Constantine, no?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, how could I forget
Yeah.
that? Heartbreaking, because she gives it to someone that she knows to hold on to, and the woman gets lost in her dream and just sort of becomes like Sloth from Seven.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a pretty good description of that. So then, so he's tracking down the Ruby Parkers. Secondly, we'll talk about Joanna Constantine after this, because I thought that was a really interesting character. But the episode 5, though, so the guy's son, the thief's son, she gives the ruby to her son John, and John is going ahead and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to make everyone tell the truth. They're going to go ahead. I'm going to eliminate lies in this world, and this is what we're going with." And in this diner, there's a couple that's there that's celebrating their anniversary, and they start going ahead and telling the truth about what it is. She's like, kind of like doesn't want him to eat healthier. He really wants this like triple cheeseburger thingamajig that's there. And so they have desires that they both want. There's a waitress there who's putting on this front of smiling and stuff like that and wanting to genuinely be happy to everyone. She has desires with the cook that's there. But then we find out that the cook apparently is having a whole relationship with her son, who is 20 years old. Not like
yes.
When he started talking about it, I thought it was a pedophile thing, right?
I did too. Again, she says he's a kid, and he goes, "He's 21." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right."
Yeah, because I was
cool.
watching it, and I'm like, ugh.
Not cool that you are going over this woman's house under the pretense of being with her just to go fuck her son. Not cool because of the lies.
Not cool.
I'm actually a bit more mad at the son for fucking his mom's boyfriend. There are plenty other people's boyfriends that aren't your mom's to fuck. Whatever. But much better than pedophilia, and which we do get some crazy pedophilia kid killing at the end of this. So we know they could have gone there.
Oh no, this show doesn't. I mean, it doesn't pull any punches regarding that. They don't go like boys level insanity, but they definitely. This is definitely not a show for kids whatsoever. Definitely a mature themed show, and then there's a woman that's there. There's a guy that is interviewing at a job that's called Vanguard, and the couple that's there, they are the ones who are in charge of Vanguard. So the wife has a relationship with the guy who's interviewing. They're pretty much fucking in the diner, and then the guy that's there, he goes ahead and apparently he's not faithful to his wife. He goes ahead and goes to the back where the cook sucks his dick. It gets really crazy. It turns into another orgy.
Yeah,
we keep getting orgies on these comic book properties. I'm gonna blame the boys because Herogasm seems like it started this avalanche of comic book orgies that we've had.
Although on this show for sure, Herogasm set off the avalanche of orgies that Granny's Peachy has been fielding.
Yes, Sandman's got an orgy. Harley Quinn just had an orgy with the Court of Owls. Shit, fucking Zeus mentions that Thor is not invited to the orgy on Thor: Love and Thunder. And Thor: Love and Thunder.
That's right, they are having god orgies.
It's everywhere, man. That shit is everywhere right now. But that's pretty much what the diner turns into, and it's kind of crazy that he kind of just takes the veil off of everyone who is just kind of trying to like maybe not give in. They're just giving into their desires of what it is apparently they really want, and he's sitting there eating a tub of ice cream while this is all going on.
Yeah, that was and so what happens to him? Because that's what I lost track of, because I really thought that episode was cool. And then again, I was binge watching and I got my son doing these other things. Mm-hmm. How does Dream get the ruby back? Because I don't remember. What happens to the old man who wreaks all that havoc? And I would say that's probably top 3 episodes of the 10 we watched. I have 3 favorites. That's in my top 3.
Oh, for sure. No, that's definitely in there. If I remember correctly, Dream just kind of takes the ruby back from him. He loses all his power that he has right there. And I think it was a copy that he was using that wasn't really necessarily it wasn't his ruby that he was using per se, but he was using a copy of it. and that's what he was using
okay.
to break down the walls of like people lying and stuff. But then he kind of just like dismissed, and he's done.
Because that's the thing, he just does disappear, and I think
he gets sanded.
Again, what? That's like in wrestling.
Yes. Arrogance.
Oh my God! Dream has put sand in the Ruby guy's eyes. Oh God! King
That
is
son of a bitch. Yeah, it's kind of what happens, honestly.
Because I think that's a detriment of getting it in bulk instead of in weekly things, because that guy has so many powerful scenes, and then he's just gone. And because it all drops at once and you're binge watching it, it kind of just feels disjointed, where it probably wouldn't have if you did it over the course of time.
Yeah.
Because that guy has that great scene with the woman who hits him and picks him up as a hitchhiker and like wants her to take him to get the ruby, and like she sees someone murdered in front of her, and then he winds up giving her the protection. Like, such an awesome scene, but in the overall of everything, it doesn't really mean much.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you, because once he gets his tools back, the entire focus is shifted elsewhere. So
right.
I think his whole getting the tools back could have been its entire own season. That's
I agree.
Yeah, and then you could have made the character's name. Sorry, I have it right over here.
Which one, the librarian or the Vortex?
No, the Vortex. I was going to use her actual name right here. Damn it! What the hell is it? I have the cast pulled up right here. I don't know. Put it this way: the Dream Vortex that's there, that could have been the entire second season. You could have given more time with all of this.
I agree. And they could have fleshed out, if they did that, they could have fleshed out the character of the Corinthian more, which I thought was interesting, but only kind of appears here and there and doesn't really do much up until the very end.
Well, yeah, we could also talk about Boyd Holbrook, who we saw in Logan. So not his first time in comic book media. He, as the Corinthian, is intense, kind of terrifying.
Oh, yeah. And he's great.
And he's awesome in this. He is absolutely awesome. But you're right, though. He just doesn't really get a lot to do until the end.
Right. And that's the thing, is he's got this awesome, menacing presence. And I think it's cool, like, at first, where he's just helping. Like, oh, take my coat. Oh, why do you want to give me your coat? I want you to get where you're going. I thought that was cool. But he does that, and then all of a sudden at the end, he's like a major player. And I think I needed that transition to build a bit more. You know, I wanted him to do more as the show went on. How awesome was that reveal when he finally takes off his glasses and he's got teeth in his eyes?
He's eating the eyeballs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was something. That was really, really something. And he ends up he gets a group of followers, like this cult essentially that goes in, and they have
all the serial killers.
Serial con essentially, that is at a convention that's at a hotel, and it's fucking serial killers from all over the place, and he's the keynote speaker at this thing.
Yes, because they killed the way he does by taking eyes, and got an audience with him. And I actually thought he was gonna and I'm glad he didn't do this, but I thought he was gonna wind up killing them all. But I'm glad that he kind of just leaned into it while also protecting the Vortex and her brother.
Oh, because he knows what he wanted them for. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that, like, there is, I don't know, like, there just seems to be layers to this very evil character. And there are different evil layers, but there are layers. And I would have loved to have seen that expand. And I thought the actor did a fantastic job.
Yeah, no, Lloyd Holbrook he's always excellent in anything I've ever seen him in. So, and I guess we could also talk about I guess two characters that kind of got subdued due to this is one of them was Desire, who we rarely ever see, but seems to has a presence on the screen, and is the one kind of driving a lot of this whole thing, but is barely seen.
I agree, and I remember we see Desire a little in the beginning, and then they play a huge part at the end because we find out that Desire's the reason. The Desire set this all up to get Dream to kill the Vortex because they're related. Like there's something
Yeah.
there. So Desire's trying to fuck Dream over, and they're all siblings, by the way. Desire, Death, Dream. There are others. Those are the three I can remember.
No, it's Death, Dream, Desire, and Despair.
And Despair. Okay, I wasn't sure if there was a Despair. So, you know, it's internal family monarchy business, but like I kind of wish we just saw more of Desire, because the twist is that they're the ones who are driving this whole plan. So, and maybe it's done differently in the comic, and maybe it would have hit different again if I watched this weekly instead of by bulk. But I agree, like great presence, but needed more of them.
Yeah, maybe in a season 2 we'll get more, because that's obviously that we find out at the end of the last episode, Desire, you know, we'll have another plan and stuff like that, and we'll try to take Dream down. And also another character that I felt, well, man, the more I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of characters but Joanna Constantine, I thought was awesome. Constantine or Constant, they say her name. Constantine. They say it very strange.
Dream keeps saying Joanna Constantine.
Constantine.
He's got that very Victorian.
Yeah.
She's
awesome.
She's fantastic, and I know that actress that she's was a character in Doctor Who. She was Peter Capaldi's companion, and I loved her there. She was in this that show I said, The Serpent, where if you want to see her as like an evil sociopath, watch The Serpent. She's really good in that. And then seeing her in this, and I didn't realize Constantine was related to this. I always thought Constantine was a Swamp Thing property, which it is, but apparently it also comes from this.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I believe in the comic book it is John Constantine that is involved in this, but
yeah, it's not Joanna. Like it's our Constantine Prime.
Yeah, rights wise, they can't use John Constantine, so maybe that's also why they were saying her name a little bit strange. But
Constantine, yeah,
maybe.
But I think she works.
No, she works great, and I do love we get a brief origin story with her and Astra, and we're very familiar with that because we've covered a lot of Constantine on this show.
We did. God bless the legends, man. I missed that show already.
Yeah, many iterations of Constantine. So, yeah, but I think it works. I like the fact that she has kind of like the jacket, but, you know, different, like a lady version of the jacket. She's kind of like a womanizer like John Constantine is. No smoking, because we already know how that goes. So they didn't even bother trying to fuck with that. So that was fine.
And why?
No, there's no reason to. And she kind of has, like, she said bollocks a couple of times, which I thought was, I thought it was funny. And I want to see more.
And I hear that they might be doing a spin-off show with that character, with her as that character, and I'm all for it. I'll watch that even if you don't make me on the show. I've seen lots of people bitching that Matt Ryan doesn't play the character, and let me ask you this question: rights aside, would you rather have had this performance of Joanna Constantine, or would you rather a Matt Ryan trying to play a John Constantine that fits the tone of this show? Because he would have to be different. His regular Constantine wouldn't fit the tone of this show, I don't think. So what would you have rather have seen, given like not worrying about rights or anything?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. Damn it, I don't know, because I really love Matt Ryan's Constantine. I think he would have had to be more like the Constantine that was on the NBC show. Like his original run as Constantine, he would have to be more like that, because that would fit more in line with this. The Legends Constantine, no, that wouldn't have worked. Nope, that wouldn't have worked at all. And I like the fact that he loves the character so much and keeps coming back to do animated versions for them. Like he's the animated Constantine. In Harley Quinn and in Justice League Apocalypse and Justice League Dark and all of that. So, damn, that's tough.
He owns that character.
He does. And that's why I think I would have been curious to see what he would have done with this, but she crushes the role.
Yeah.
As this. And I kind of don't mind the fact that we see a little bit of a changing up of the character.
Yeah, I agree. I love Matt Ryan. I love what he does with the character. I think he could have done a great John Constantine that fits in this. I am kind of glad we got something different. I think that because of how this is DC, but it's not.
Yeah.
I think this is the place to give us weird experimental difference. And yeah, and again, I love Jenna Coleman. I think she's such a top notch actress.
I've never known much of her, honestly, and then she just like crushed it.
Yeah, she just comes out of nowhere. Can we talk about like the one character that I actually, because I lied when I said that I never read any Sandman. I forgot.
Okay.
I actually did read, not any Sandman, but I did read Neil Gaiman, who did a side graphic novel, a one-shot about death. So I was actually very familiar with the character of Death, and it's the only character outside of John Constantine that I was familiar with. And so I want to talk about Death and that episode, because that's my favorite episode, when he goes to visit his
really
sister.
Good.
And I mean, that's just such. And the actress they got to play Death is so good. When she gives that speech about how I just realized that I just need to be a friendly face. You know what I'm saying? Like her whole, and she gives her philosophy, and that's in the comic, because I did read parts of that, her appearance in that comic. And I think they did such a great job casting her. I think she's fantastic. The only complaint I have about her as Death is in the comic. Death has a top hat.
Okay.
Because it was the 90s, right? So emo, steampunk, that was all a thing. And so she has this very 90s, she's like a 90s goth girl with a top hat. And they didn't have the top hat. But I fucking knew exactly who that was as soon as I saw the Ankh, because that's a big symbol of the comic book. She has that Ankh. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting my Death episode. And I really feel that how they handled that character would have made or broken my opinion of this show. But I loved how they handled her so well, and that conversation between them where they're just siblings, and she's talking to her sibling who has been enslaved for 1,000 years and who's trying to get his shit together. And I just really dug that. I think that was the best episode of this whole season.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating the way that they handled Death and would show up and like, kindly, like you said, be a kind face to the person that's dying, and then they would see their body go, and then like the guy who drowns, he's like, no, I gotta do this for my wife, I gotta do all of this. It's like, your time's up, I'm really sorry. And then we see in the background they're pulling him out of the water and he drowned. That was a pretty sad episode. It really
was.
That was one of the best episodes, I think, of this season.
And also you get all that sadness, and you get all like Death is sad, but the fact that Death is not scary. Death is just this very sweet-looking, pretty girl who is just like, "Hey, I'm here for you. No, I'm sorry, your time's up. I can't reverse anything, but let me bring you to a better place." There's just something comforting about that to me, and that's why I love the cat. And she's exactly like that in the comic.
Nice. Another character I think was Gwendolyn Christine, who plays Lucifer in this series.
Oh, yeah.
That fight that they had Dream and her have is awesome and so different than anything else that I have seen, where they're kind of morphing into whatever the hell that they name. That was cool. And I love her appearance of, she still looks like the angel, but with the fucking wings that are there. Like she's still in the white dress and the curly yellow blonde hair and everything like that. So still appears like an angel, but obviously is fucking Lucifer. That's here. And they also they talk about her as they're going to her, like she was the smartest, the kindest, and all this other stuff. But then obviously is Lucifer.
Yeah.
And at the end of the last episode, we get obviously Hell is planning to take fucking Dream down moving forward. So excited.
Yeah, I loved all that Lucifer stuff. I loved that actress they got to play him. By the way, that fight, I have never seen a more accurate representation of a D&D fight, like in anything. It's like, I'm gonna cast Direwolf. Yeah, well, I'm gonna use my Bow of the Hunter. Yeah, well, I'm gonna become a snake. It was such a D&D match. It was fantastic. But I love that, and I loved how they just have to keep one-upping each other. I love the moment where Dream goes, "Well, thank you for shooting fair with me, Lucifer." And Lucifer's like, "You fucking idiot! I'm gonna kill you!" Because that's the whole thing is she's trying to manipulate him into that fight, thinking she's going to win, and then he wins, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna leave now." And she's like, "No, you're not. I've called the legions of hell out there for a reason." And then he gets out. But I loved her in this. I thought she was fantastic. I'm hoping to see more of her, and we will see more of her in season 2.
So did you catch Mark Hamill as Mervyn
No.
Pumpkin? Yeah, Mervyn Pumpkin.
That was Mark Hamill?
That was Mark Hamill.
Catch him.
Yeah, we get that. Patton Oswalt is the Raven.
I do have to say that Patton Oswalt's the one thing I wasn't crazy about.
Okay.
The one choice I wasn't crazy about. I like Patton Oswalt normally. I like him in cartoons when he does. Like I saw Ratatouille for the first time recently with my son. He's in that. I like him. I'm excited to see him do Pip because they're also modulating his voice. But like for this, it's just Patton Oswalt's voice coming out of a raven. And that kind of, every time he talked, it pulled me out of it. Because it's like, hey, guys, it's me, Patton Oswalt. It's like, I imagine, like, Gilbert Gottfried just doing that. Oh, we're going to hell, Dream! Oh! It's like, it just pulled me out of it. I wish either they modulated or he did something with his voice. Because that was a cool character. I mean, he literally plays the person who is reborn into a raven to watch over Dream, and we watched like Dream's pet raven get killed in the first episode, and so he's really like keeping him at a distance. It's a cool relationship. I like everything about it. It's just Patton Oswalt's voice coming out of that bird just pulls me out of the whole reality.
Yeah, I don't know. I was mixed bag with that. I agree. It does pull you out a little bit. I think I just kind of got used to it after a while and just rolled with it eventually. Cain and Abel, I thought that whole thing early on was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. That was fun.
I was actually pretty sad when they had to kill the gargoyle, though. When Dream had to take the gargoyle away from them. I thought that was sad.
I did too. There were some really like interesting emotional beats in this show that you wouldn't expect.
No, not at all. That was not one. If you would have told me, hey, you're going to be sad about a gargoyle getting evaporated, essentially, I would have been like, yeah, who gives a shit? But
the gargoyle chooses it, right? Like,
yeah,
like that's what makes it beautiful. Is like Dream comes and they're like, no, you can't do it, and he's like, I didn't come to ask you, I came to ask him. And it's like the fact that I'm not here to force him to die. I'm here to lay things out and give him the choice, and he chooses the best route, which happens to end in his death. That's why that's a touching scene, because the gargoyle makes the choice.
Yeah. And I want to shout out, by the way, that Roderick Meredith, or whatever the hell his name is in the beginning, that is the one who captures Dream. Charles Dance is the actor's name. Who, I mean, we talked about Last Action Hero recently, so come on. He's Benedict.
Great movie.
With the glass eye.
That's right.
I always love seeing him. Love seeing him.
Oh God, I love that movie so much. Last Action Hero.
So do I. And he's also Tywin Lannister. For those who've seen Game of Thrones, he plays a big part in Game of Thrones as the father, the top Lannister for most of it. So yeah, I genuinely enjoyed the show, though. I would definitely recommend. I would highly recommend seeing the Sandman. It's good. Looking forward to a season 2 because they obviously set one up. Visually, it's really good. The performances are really good. But yeah, I think we just kind of felt that there were certain things that were. I think we fully agree on this, that there's certain things that you could have been explored more. But unfortunately, they didn't.
Yeah, I think there are certain things that could have been explored more. I think it would have made a difference. Again, I keep belaboring it, but I really do think it would have made a difference if it was episodic instead of dropped all at once. And yeah, I would say see this, even though there are a couple small nitpicks I had, like no Top Hat for Death and Patton Oswalt just being Patton Oswalt. None of that matters. Like, this is such it's such a unique show. It's such a well-written show. It's a fascinating show. It's like nothing we've covered on here before. This is like nothing to do with superheroes. It's all fantasy. It's Neil Gaiman, and I don't know if we'll never cover this because it was based on a novel, not not a comic book, but Neil Gaiman wrote the book that Good Omens was based on, which if anyone has seen that, which is pretty much about the angel, a devil and an angel living on Earth from day one in the Garden of Eden, and pretty much growing on Earth and becoming friends and then having to subvert the apocalypse. Neil Gaiman writes a lot of fantastical stuff like this, which have been made into very interesting things. So I would say if anyone has seen Good Omens and it liked it, and you're curious if you're going to like this, you will watch it. And if you watch this and you want to explore more, I would say go see Good Omens on Hulu, because Neil Gaiman's work is all very, very interesting.
Nice. All right, you got anything else on Sandman before we wrap this one up?
No, except for I really do now want the version where I get Gilbert Gottfried as one of those ravens. Dream! I'm gonna let you out, Dream!
Oh, that would have been
But that's
great.
it.
All right, so thanks for joining us this afternoon or wherever you caught up to us. You always appreciate it. If you like what you heard, joining us on Facebook, join the Granny's Peach Tea Facebook group and join in on the conversation daily. Drop comments and stuff and stories that don't make the show that we talk about on a daily basis, trailers and whatnot. Join us on YouTube, hit subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. If you're catching us on Twitter, hit Pop Culture Pros and give us a follow there. And wherever you found your podcast, Pop Culture Pros as well. And we'll be back next week where we will be getting really hulky moving forward. I know we said last week we're going to do the Hulk, but honestly, I admit I completely forgot the Sandman was dropping this week. So we talked about it and we're like, something we really want to do this. So yeah. I'm so happy we did make that decision, though. We got plenty of time to get to Hulk.
Yeah. Look, this is new Hulk. We got plenty of time to get to Hulk, and I'm really glad because I would have watched this eventually. I'm glad I had to watch this quickly because I really did enjoy it. So phenomenal call.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad we did. But yeah, so we'll be back next week. We'll be talking about their season premiere of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and we got to get to it. We'll talk about the Incredible Hulk, another MCU film that Jason I know is really excited to cover. I actually am really excited to hear Jason's thoughts after he rewatches it again.
I am excited to cover it because I do want to rewatch it because I don't hate these movies. I don't hate any of these movies. I don't think they're all good. I just like them all, right? This is one that I don't know if I think it's good. And the last time I watched it, and this was years ago, I was kind of felt unfavorably. It's always like hovering in my bottom 5. And I'm hoping to get a different perspective on this rewatch because I always want to like these things more.
Of course. So we'll talk about the Incredible Hulk. We'll be talking about episode 1 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And we'll be talking about the episode 6 of Harley Quinn. So come join us next week. Jason, what do you got going on Deep Dive this week?
So Deep Dive, we got Goldfinger. This is the episode I've been waiting to do. This is the episode. We're doing Goldfinger. It is my favorite James Bond movie. I'm not even going to pretend that that's not true. It's just such a great movie, and I'm excited to rewatch it. I'm excited to talk about it with Ginny. I'm excited to get into it, do my terrible Goldfinger impression, because I've been looking at a Goldfinger impression, Mr. Bond, since I was a young child. But yeah, so join us on Monday, 8:30, when we go into Goldfinger.
So if you're into Bond, check out Double O Deep Dive with Jason and Ginny on Monday. If you're into baseball, check out if your Yankees are your team, you go check out the Empire 161 show. We're seeing if we're going to be doing our new episode tomorrow or if we're going to have to skip a week. So we'll post about that. If you're into the Mets, you can check out the Put It in the Book show with Farachi and Keith and Rodriguez as they cover the New York Mets. Wrestling's Your Jam. Check out Tim and Eric on the Just Too Sweet show on Tuesdays. Check out the A to Z show. I know they just Tim and Eric put out A to Z show last night, so you can check out the latest episode there. Disney, Tim was on Skyline Reviews this week. So I know they were talking about Star Wars at Disney, so you can check out Ashley and Tim on Skyline Reviews. And check out Don on Am I on the Air, who has joined us on this show, and I'm sure he'll be back at some point to go ahead and chat with us. So check out the stuff. So we'll see you next week. Peace.